Hey, just wanted to jump out here real quick. It's a pretty casual day in the office, and it was awesome because it gave me time to reflect back on conversations I've been having with the executive leadership and life coaching clients that I have. And hi, Tina. And wanted to share something that has risen to the top in a lot of the conversations I've had. Um, Almost all of the conversations that I have with my clients come back to leadership, leading self, so that we can more effectively lead others. And I've recognized, as many of you may have as well, this issue we all have with filling in the blanks or filling in the gaps. What do I mean by that? This is what I mean. So the best way to share it without sharing any confidential information of any of my clients is to tell on myself, right? It's always easy to tell on yourself. And several years ago, I remember being kind of frustrated because I'd come home from work on the weekends and we'd have a weekend off, and the boys were constantly like, "Where are we going today? What are we gonna do?" Well, this was after in the summers when my wife, who is an amazing elementary teacher, they would have their summers off together. And they would spend their summers just going all over the place, having a great time. And it was really fun. I was sad that I didn't get to join them a lot, but I got to join them a fair share. But after a while, I got to where the boys were just constantly thinking they had to go somewhere, be somewhere else to have fun. And I got frustrated. And I felt that frustration coming out. And I always knew it was there, but I didn't really address it. And it most likely came out as just kind of being a bear with a sore rear end around the house from time to time. Then there came a coaching session with a leader that I was working with at that time. And she was leading a team of a couple thousand women with her direct sales organization. Really doing well, lots of demands on her time. And we were talking about time management and energy management. And she said something that rocked my world in a great way. She said, I've learned that if I really want to be fully present with my kids, I've got to leave the house. I've got to get out and leave the house, because if I stay in the house and try to spend time with them, all I'm thinking about is all the other work that's setting in different places around the house that needs done. So even if I'm with them, I'm not fully present with them. And I literally did a palm to the forehead and put my hands on her shoulders and said, I can't thank you enough for sharing that insight. Number one, it's amazing insight for you. Number two, it's amazing insight for me, because now I know how I've been filling in the blank on my wife's behalf with regards to our boys. I was thinking in my head, she's creating yes, change your environment, Tim. She was creating this, doing all this busy stuff with the boys, creating this needlessly in my mind, this idea for them that they have to go somewhere to be entertained, when all along, and I was able to confirm this with her later when I asked her, it was all about being present with the boys. If she stayed home, she would be distracted by everything else that needed done and wouldn't be present with the boys. And that was the first moment that I realized, without fully realizing, just how dangerous it is to fill in the gaps for other people. Whenever there's a gap in communication, whenever there's a gap in interactions, this space, right, where we start filling in what's going on, just how dangerous that is. Because in my case, I was filling it with things that was causing me resentment, when it should have been a celebration. It should have been a celebration that Kara was so aware of her own ability to focus and be present with the boys, that she knew what she had to do to make it happen. So what do I mean by all this? Number one, we're human. We fill in the blanks. We're gonna fill in the blanks whenever there's interaction and communications with others. It's how our brain operates. Our brain understands and remembers things by story. It's why when you read scripture, it's when you read books and history books, the ones that stick with you the most are typically those that are told in more of a story format, because that's how our brain processes things. So whenever there's a gap in a story, our brain is going to go looking for things to fill it. So the first thing is our brains are looking for a narrative. They're going to complete the story to make sense of things. Number two, when the story is something that causes us some stress or some frustration, our brain's first inclination is to protect ourselves. Now, what do you think I mean by that? Our brain wants to protect us, whether we realize it consciously or not. Our brain wants to protect us around our insecurities. I have an insecurity of feeling adequate, being enough, right? So when my boys would come to me and say, Dad, where are we going? What are we doing this weekend? How are we going to have fun? What are we going to do? I'm not that good of an idea guy when it comes to that stuff. I was feeling inadequate. So that was at the heart of it, which then led me to filling in the gaps to push the responsibility off on someone else. So again, we're going to grasp for narratives to complete the story, make sense of it all. And our brain, when it's in a stress situation, is going to look for things that protect us and around our insecurities. The third thing is after hearing that, you might think the solution is to just quit filling in the gap. Good luck. It's how our brains function, so it's most likely not going to be real successful. However, if we recognize it's happening, if we acknowledge and accept it, now we can move forward with leveraging it to our benefit. So the thing that I am much more conscious about now is when I catch myself doing things and sensing the stress, and I'm starting to fill in the gap with those negative things that are built around insecurity and trying to feel enough. I catch myself and I work on, okay, there's a couple negative things to fill the gap with. What are some real positive, healthy things to fill the gap with? So for instance, if I feel like someone asked me a question that all of a sudden now I'm feeling defensive because I feel like it attacks my credibility or something, when I recognize that, I'll ask, okay, what are some other possibilities, healthier possibilities? Maybe they ask that question because they simply really don't know, and the answer has a big impact on a decision they need to make. Or maybe the reason they felt like, or their tone sounded accusational, is because they're feeling insecure because they don't know the answer. And that's how it expressed themselves. Whether those things are true or not is less important as simply recognizing the fact that there could be a lot of different ways to fill in that blank. I don't necessarily know the right one. So the best thing I can do is respond with questions to understand. Questions not in judgment, but questions to understand, as well as to recognize that they can't make me feel any special way, any certain way about myself. I'm in control of how I feel about myself. And to be much more intentional about, okay, how can I conduct myself in a way looking to give to this person rather than trying to get validation that I'm okay. So I hope that makes sense. Again, it's recognizing we fill in the gaps. We tend to fill in the gaps with things that are that protect or kind of defend from our insecurity, which then leads us to responding or reacting to people in ways that we really don't want to, that leave neither of us feeling great. And then the third thing is recognize those moments. Don't beat yourself up. Recognize those moments when we are filling in the blanks in an unhealthy way, and start looking for healthier ways to fill in those blanks and gaps to create healthier solutions and understandings, and help us to respond in better ways rather than react. And hey, how about this? Whenever there's really that situation going on, how about going to that person and just start asking questions to get to know them better, to seek to understand what's really going on when they do certain things, so that we get to know them better and our relationship is better, and we can lead ourselves in a way that then naturally helps us to be a better leader of others. So hopefully this made sense. This is the kind of processing I love helping my clients work through on a regular basis alongside their regular business and leadership goals. If any of this is something you want to talk about it further or explore the opportunity to coach together, please don't hesitate to direct message me here in Instagram. Email me at Mike at CoachClouse.com, the beauty of live, right? Mike at CoachClouse.com, or connect with me on Facebook, facebook.com/lifepurposeimpact. Thanks again for joining me, and we'll catch y'all later.